Hi, this is going to be a very important video, so please sit through the entirety of it. I will be a little bit messy because it is 4 a.m. And I watched this and I just needed to talk about it. So forgive me as I'm very tired. Subscribe to me and subscribe to nyara and let's get into it. Let's go. I'm gonna move myself over here. Hi. Okay, we're gonna listen to this.
On TwitchCon, for instance, on the with YouTubers will support you, but they won't actually actively engage with you.
On a topic of trans people, by the way.
I don't know, on TwitchCon, for instance. On the right, if you're transphobic and so on, you're also being seen as controversial, and a lot of like these content creators who are seen as like apolitical and whatnot, they will obviously not interact with them. But the difference between those on the left that are considered controversial and those on the right that are considered controversial is that the media empire of the right will boost controversial streamers on the right. Like all of these like right-wing gamergate type of like podcasts, they will pick up all of the V-grifters, the VTubers that are, you know, pushing like racism and so on. They will also like throw a lot of money at them, right?
Now, what she's talking about is how we are treated from the left wing and the trans LGBTQ community, how we are seen as political, quote unquote, and too dangerous to interact with openly, and shares her own experience, which watch the entirety of this video and watch the first video she posted after this, by the way. And I personally, as a small streamer, haven't really seen that, but I do see where she's coming from, and I have seen how hate, transphobia, racism, all the right-wing stuff be pushed more out, and reaction people of course cover this because it's an important topic, but there's also people who fund the people who do it and continue to fund them and make a little bit of like a bubble of, oh yeah, if you say this thing you get into people are going to support you, and especially billionaires and people who are very up there on the right wing will support you and boost you because it means that they can create this vision of, oh yeah, we are right, we are right about this, and these people, look at all these people who are so weird and say all these things about us, and they're a cult and they're the ones who are pushing each other's content out, when it's mainly on the platforms I've been on, there are mainly from the reaction content, there are a lot of people who push out a lot of the right-wing stuff.
Right? People on the right have, generally speaking, more money. It's also like being boosted by billionaires on the platforms, shaping the algorithm to boost this form of like controversy. They will farm like these clip moments where they're going to be like, haha, I hate all gay people, and then it's going to be like a snippet, it's going to be posted on Twitter, on socials, on TikTok and whatnot, and a lot of people interact with that. It attracts drama. And a lot of like these clippers only do this for like right-wing content creators.
Which I didn't actually know. I've seen this incident on Twitter so many times. There's been so many times where, especially this one VTuber, I'm not going to mention the name because, God, I don't want to be targeted. But she was like basically being really fucking racist and outward, transphobic and like homophobic, and people were posting the clip and saying like, oh yeah, she shouldn't be, they posted a clip and it was fucking insanity, and I didn't know that was actually something that people did to push that type of thing and gather their people and fund each other, which is fucking terrifying to think about. And she's right about the fact that the people on the left are more, she will talk about this later, I'll show the clip in a minute, but she's right about all of this, and it's fucking terrifying that this is actually a thing. Like, let me go a little bit forward.
You're being too political right now. You are too divisive. One who supports LGBTQ people. You have reactionaries, radicalize people, and get them to the team that is being used in order to fund all of the anti-trans legislation in the UK.
Oh yeah, with the Hogwarts. This is talking about the Hogwarts, sorry.
Be friends with you, and you have like all of these reactionaries be like, oh my god, look at you doing cancel culture, oh my god. And
yeah. She spoke a little bit about the Hogwarts situation, which briefly I'm going to speak about. Basically, the new game was known to fund this very transphobic person called J.K. Rowling, which you don't know. She is very transphobic and has been actively giving money to anti-trans organizations and the UK thing, and it was horrid, and so many people were so angry at people who wanted people not to fund those things, which is going to kill so many people that are innocent, trans people that are fucking innocent. And they call them snowflakes, but it feels so much like the right is snowflakes because they keep saying, oh yeah, these people are radicalizing, they're making children cut off their dignities and all that sort of shit. And it's just like, you can't have a fucking rational conversation with a right-wing person. I've never had one. And I've met a lot of people. I've been very vocal that my ex was a right-wing, and I could not have a rational conversation with him. Like, they are more likely to harm you. The right is more likely to harm you than the left. I'm gonna be so fucking honest.
And it's essentially like people just being bullied into silence by reactionaries. And it's so frustrating to continuously see this. There's like no money in it for you if you're just being a good person. There's nothing to be gained. You are essentially losing a lot of things, especially, you know, as a VTuber, a lot of them are very corporate, where the only political opinion that is allowed in the space is like right-wing stuff. Things that to the average mind are just being seen as like common sense, that are just essentially rooted in like far-right propaganda, in misinformation, and it's being portrayed as like that's just the normal opinion. But once you're like calling this out, you're dismantling that and so on, then it's like, oh, now you're making it political. It's essentially how if you see a video game character and you have a male cis straight white protagonist, people are going to be like, oh yeah, it's just a cis white male protagonist. But the moment you have somebody who is trans, somebody who's gay, then it's like, oh, now it's political. Now it's
yeah,
and so on.
It's basically the saying of anything, like they have made being LGBTQ a political thing when it was never meant to be. Like, if, like, for example, with me and my friends, if I see that, I'm just happy because I see someone who looks like me or thinks like me or feels like me. Like, it's not a fucking political thing. They made it political. They made it something that needs to be gone because in their eyes they don't understand it, and that sucks ass.
Because they think that like cis white male is like the baseline, and any deviation from that is making it political. They don't realize that the fact that they think that cis straight white male is like the baseline, that is inherently political as well. That is like caused by the patriarchy, by all of like these systemic issues and so on. And you try to explain that to people who are so brainwashed and are incapable of like reevaluating their worldview, then you're being seen as like, oh, you are making it a problem. You're the one throwing the stones, and you're the one harassing these innocent poor races who just want to spread their bigoted opinions.
Like, sorry to pause so much. I wanted to not to just make it, oh yeah, I'm trying to profit off this person. No, I completely fucking agree with them. And one thing I see is not a lot of people seem to want to talk about this sort of thing because it is going to become such a much bigger problem, and people are going to get pissed. Like, if you have a problem with the cis cat, you are essentially cisphobic, quote unquote, or like whatever, and it's not a big problem. But when they don't fit your view of people, not being white, able-bodied, straight, man, it's suddenly a problem. Why is that? This goes back to the entire thing of like female characters weren't, like, I remember back in the day, female characters were so controversial because, oh yeah, female can't play games, a woman can't play games, and it's like, how have we gotten to the point where it's problematic that they don't think like you? Why is that problematic? Really sit with that fucking thought, because that is really weird. Just because they don't think like you. And she goes on about a point later on that most leftists don't completely agree 100% on every single topic with each other. And that's okay, because humans have different opinions. I've spoken about this before. Humans have different opinions. I'm not going to agree with 100% of what my friends say, but I'm still their friend because they're not transphobic, racist pieces of shit. That's where my line goes. I don't know about you, but that's where my line goes. And with online, I will see people discuss and debate topics, and though I don't typically feel it's correct to harass and be angry about one another when discussing leftist topics, though that depends on the topic, generally you should be open-minded and debate. And when it comes to the point where someone will just not change their mind, I don't see a point in it, personally. But with, like, we are not going to agree on every single thing. If everyone on Earth agreed on the same thing, it would be so boring because you'd have nothing to do or say to one another. And I can't believe that the right thinks we're like this, because we're not. If I give an opinion on something, people are going to say their own opinions, and that's amazing. I love that. But not everyone is going to agree with me, and that's perfectly fine. I don't need you to fucking agree with me. Why? Why do they? It makes me angry. It makes me angry. But on the right, they have this idea that we are all some sort of cult that all believes in all these ideas that they have formed themselves, that it's just common fucking sense. Like, trans rights are human rights. That's just because a person was born in the wrong body and believes and would like to, live a happy fucking life, doesn't mean that they are suddenly now a bad person. Or if a disabled person wants to live a normal fucking life, which is something I am, how is that controversial? How is that suddenly not, like, it does not make sense. It does not make sense. It's just common sense that everyone should be able to live a life without, like, having to deal with this. And I've said this before, it is such a big fucking problem that so many people push this right-wing agenda bullshit, and the Trump administration pulls all of their fucking punches, and they're not even fucking pretending anymore. Look at her next fucking video about the Trump thing. They're not fucking pretending. And people are just eating it up because they don't fucking know any better. And I've seen so many videos that go like, oh yeah, the title being, I was in the MAGA, I left, this is why. Because people are starting to wake up. And I'm thankful people are starting to wake up. And I do have my own opinions about it, but not enough people are aware that they just want to kill innocent people because they don't believe in the same thing as that person that they want to target does. It is literally that. And all the bullshit they pull up with, oh yeah, the trans person killed Charlie Kirk, that wasn't real. They are putting out bullshit and saying anything they can to prove their point. And it is saddening. It is fucking saddening that we got into this point. And I'm so sorry to everyone who lives in the US, who lives in America. I'm so sorry. If there's anything I can do as a person, let me know, honestly. And I don't like speaking too much about political things because I said I want to put my let people have a little space of comfort in this new, very scary and terrifying world. But something she said made me realize I do need to speak up a little bit as well. And that is that she said that a lot of people don't back up another person on these kind of views publicly. So here I am. I back this person up, and I'm not scared of that. And I hope other people can give her some love. Please go subscribe to her, send some love, and yeah. Good night.